when it comes to planning for retirement, one of the mistakes we all tend to make is focusing way too much on the money side of things, which is completely understandable because it's such a huge challenge, being able to save up enough money to retire confidently and comfortably. But there's so much more to the retirement equation in order to retire happily. And there's things that we should be doing years before we retire. So whether you're 30, 40, 50, or 60, this video is for you. So let's jump in and talk about the things outside of money that are super important. I've been a financial advisor for over 22 years. I've had a front row seat to this. And the very first one is TIME, time. There are 168 hours in a week. That's a lot of time. And when you think about how much time did we have for our free time, for our personal pursuits while we were working, the truth is we did not have a lot of time. And that's the good news, that we're going to have a lot of time now, but it can also be the challenge, right? When we were working, most of us were working 8 to 10 hours a day. On top of that, we had at least a half-hour commute to work, a half-hour commute home. And by the time we got dinner ready, we had maybe 2 hours a night, if we were lucky, to do things that we were interested in doing. And frankly, a lot of that time was just relaxing and recovering from the stress of the day. So what are we going to do with that 168 hours in the week? It's super important. It really comes down to the 2 P's, your purpose and your passion. Let's talk about purpose first. And the purpose one is the harder of the two. We're going to talk about passion. That's no walk in the park either, but let's talk about purpose first. It's going to take time to find a new purpose for most of us. Again, I've been doing this for a while. I've helped guide hundreds of people into retirement, and it is natural for whatever you thought you were going to do initially in retirement, for you to have to iterate. And I would say over half of the time, what people thought they were going to do in retirement, once they got there, they're like, this is fun, this is good, but it's not my purpose. I want something more than that. So first, be prepared to have to iterate. And second, take the time that you have now to prepare for this chapter of your life, to think about what are the purposes and to try things out. One of the nice things after 15, 20, 30 years in a job is most of us have accumulated more vacation than what we had earlier in our career. And believe it or not, over half of all Americans don't use their vacation. And while after 20 years, you may have a fair amount of vacation, this is also for people that just get 2 weeks of vacation. Most people don't use all that vacation. So job number one is to use all of your vacation. I don't care what you got to do, where you're going to go, but use all of your vacation and use it to try out different adventures, different experiences. Maybe you've always you thought it would be fun to be a coach on the high school football team or the volleyball team. Maybe during 2 weeks, during a tournament season, go up to the high school and say, hey, coach, I've got 2 weeks of vacation. I think I might want to do this in retirement. How could I help during this period of time? And so to the extent you can, start doing some of that iteration ahead of time. And oftentimes it's not, gee, this is something I'm passionate about or I'm not. Oftentimes it's like, well, directionally I'm heading the right way, but this isn't the spot, but I know it's close. And so we're like this heat-seeking missile, right? We're never really on course, but we get a little off course, and we try different things in the pursuit of finding that perfect spot. Okay, so that's purpose. The other one that tends to derail people is finding their next passion, what they're excited about. And think about your 21-year-old version of yourself. And what would your 21-year-old version of yourself say to you if you said, hey, yeah, I don't have many passions in my life anymore, right? The 21-year-old is going to lack the perspective, is going to lack the life experiences to understand that this is normal. But I want you to get in touch with that 21-year-old and remind yourself, what were the things that you were passionate about? Now, I'm not saying you're going to go back and start skateboarding or start dirt biking or whatever it was when you were 21, but recapture that curiosity, that desire to try new things. Get in touch with that, because that's going to make finding your next passion easier. And also get in touch with some old friends, people that knew you when you're in your 20s and your 30s. And, I tell people, young people that are in their 20s and 30s that want to do adventurous things. For instance, I used to hang glide when I was younger. And I had friends that said, oh, I want to do that. But, it takes a while to drive up to the top of these remote mountains and jump off of them. I mean, it takes all day, right? And they had young families at home, as did I. And it just was a hard period of their life to do things. But I encouraged them and said, yeah, figure out a way to make it happen. Do some horse trading with your spouse so that you can do these adventures, because not only physically is it harder when you get younger, but you evolve and you become a different person. And that's the point here. We have evolved. We are different people now. And so while the 21-year-old version of yourself might have thought it would be, a lot of fun to go skydiving, and maybe the 50-year-old version of you feels that way. I still feel that way. It's still on my bucket list. But give yourself forgiveness, give yourself understanding, and realize you're a different person. So it's okay to not want to do the same pursuits that you wanted to do when you were younger, but spark those new pursuits. What are those things? And one of the things I like to think about is not necessarily, the bucket list, things that you want to do before you pass away, but also, what are the life bucket events? What are the things that you want to do today that is better to do sooner rather than later? And what are the things that you can put off? For instance, my wife is pretty good at playing bridge, and I've never learned to play bridge. It's a card game. And I want to learn that, and I think it would be fun to be part of a group. But you know what? That's something I can do when I'm older. So for now, it's surfing, it's solo traveling internationally, it's having those types of adventures, because unfortunately, I know the day is coming where I won't be able to do those types of things, and I'll be glad to be doing these other things like bridge, like fly fishing, events that don't take as much energy. So think about what those are. And I mentioned earlier about friends. That's really the key to happiness. The word happy in retirement is spelled Friends. Friends, it's spelled relationships. Having family, it's having people around you that you care about, that put a smile on your face, that make you laugh, that make you feel warm on the inside. So your money, unfortunately, isn't going to solve all of your issues, and your money's not going to save you. But what will save you is preparation and making good decisions. And that's why I made this video up here that talks about what's the right time to retire, because you don't want to run out of time, and we're all running out of time way too quickly. That's why I made this video here, why waiting to 65 to retire might be a big mistake. I'll see you in there. Bye-bye.